Hello, and welcome to Indie Encounter. My name is Mark Wilson Jordan. The mission of our show is to give independent performers and artists access to as wide an audience as possible, and to give you, our viewers, a window into their art, their artistic process, and why they have chosen their particular avenue to connect with the world. All art is about communication and connection. Let's meet today's indie guest, spoken word artist, Sandra Laraine Coleman. Sandra, welcome to Indie Encounter.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I love being here.
And we love having you. Now, people who have watched our show on a regular basis know that they often see you in this chair
Yes.
as host, but today you're here as guest.
Yes, but I like being in both chairs.
All right. Any chance for the spotlight?
That's right. And sharing, the craft. So that's the most important thing, is getting the word out about the art, the poetry, like the introduction says. We want the world to know.
We want the world to know.
Yes.
So, since you were a guest here last, tell us what you've been up to.
Mostly school. School has been the priority. To graduate this June with my AA, and then go on to graduate with my BA, then my MA, and then my PhD. So one of these times when I come here, I'm going to be Dr. Sandra Laraine Coleman.
And along the way, there will be poetry to document the journey.
Yes, lots of poetry to document the journey. I've been working on the NaPoWriMo for the month of April, where the poetry community writes a poem a day for 30 days for the month of April, which is National Poetry Month.
Aha.
Yeah, so our minds have been busy, and I'm a little behind only because I have homework and I have a lot of reading that I have to do, but I do have like sketches of pieces or pieces of pieces, so I'm confident that I'll get all 30 done this year.
This year?
Yeah,
how about this month?
year. Well, because it's 2013, for the year 2013, the month of April, I'll get it done. Last year I didn't do it, so for 2012 I didn't get 30 poems, but for 2011 I did get 30 poems.
So you're cranking up your discipline to
be consistent, and not to let anything get away of that, because I have to practice and hone that skill just as well as I have to practice any other skill I have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and you plan your work.
Yeah.
And then you work your plan.
Yes.
Simple.
Yes. It is simple, but stuff happens in the middle of a plan. You think it's going to go one way and it deviates to the right or left. You have to make the adjustment, but you have to keep moving. You have to keep pushing.
Right.
And keep
because
going.
Because discipline is doing it.
Yes.
And every day you wake up, you have a new opportunity to get to your plan.
Yes, every single day. And every single day I work towards my goal. The goals that I've set for myself, like school, like every day I get up, I'm making sure I'm doing something towards my degree, and I'm keeping my mind focused on that.
Great.
Yeah.
Because when you get it done, you'll look back and say, wow, I did that.
I did it.
And I'm so glad it's done.
Yes. And I am so looking forward to that day. Because it's not easy. And sometimes I wish that I had done school earlier, but then I don't know if I would appreciate it as much as I do now, because I'm shooting for a 4.0 constantly. And that is like a priority for me, not just to go to class and do the work and get the grade and participate, but to get the best grade and to do the best.
You must sit in the front row.
I do.
And pay attention.
Yes, it's so important, especially when you can't see that well. You gotta sit in that front.
Sit in the front row.
Yes, definitely.
Well, in terms of planning, I understand that you have a poem that required you to do planning because of its form.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that and then share with us the poem.
The poem is called Pyramid Poem, and it's written in the shape of a pyramid. And because I'm talking or writing about a pyramid, the poem had to take that shape to make it a concrete poem. So when you're writing about something, like if you're talking about a tree, and if your poem takes the form of a tree, that makes it a concrete poem. Anybody can talk about a tree, but everybody can't make the poem look like a tree or a circle or a square or a house or whatever they're talking about.
So you're looking at words and cadence,
right,
and shape and form.
Yes, and that makes it concrete. So I'm going to do the piece, Pyramid Poem. You can scribe your name immaculately on man-made walls and document having been by marking monuments in oblivion. But I shall build my poetry like a pyramid. Then we shall see whose lyrics remain standing.
Sort of like throwing down a challenge.
Yeah.
You could do it your way, I'll do it my way. We'll see which lasts longer.
Exactly, and that's the point I was trying to make, because I don't want to criticize anybody, but you can tell when you go to a venue or even amongst your peers, you can tell who's serious about the work and the craft by how they present themselves, their work, and who they surround themselves with. And so sometimes there are people that are in it for reasons other than the art and bettering themselves and the community and the people. So that was sort of a challenge for them to maybe you should rethink what you're doing. We don't want this to be a passing fancy or a fly-by-night or, because if it's man-made, it doesn't last. If it's constructed in something solid, if it has a foundation, that's why I'm building pyramids. The pyramids are still here.
They are. Yeah.
And that's how I see myself in poetry and how I see me working at this craft, something that will be here way after I'm gone. A legacy.
A legacy.
Yeah. Building.
Which means you write and write and share and write. And, the poetry can take the form of observation of human behavior. It can take the form of expressing feelings, because I know you have some of those poems.
Yes.
Observing nature.
Yes.
And just appreciating being in it.
Right.
Okay.
Some of those poems, and it depends on where you are, sometimes during the day where you are, or where you are in life and how you're looking at it, because I'm getting older and, there are things going on inside me, outside of me. Some things I can control, some things I can't. I can't stop age. It's going to happen. Maybe I can delay it a little bit, but I can't stop it. So what I've noticed about myself in my writing is that I'm taking a view of appreciation, where I appreciate every moment, the smallest moments, the sunrise, the sunset, the breeze, the birds. I'm hearing all this stuff and I'm seeing all this stuff, and I'm really
not taking it for granted.
Not taking it for granted, appreciating it, taking the time to notice, the sun glistening off, the beach or, whatever, even the hot, like summer heat, okay, I'm appreciated because I'm alive to feel it. I appreciate that. The rain is pouring down, I'm soaking wet. It's okay. Just let me hurry up and get home and get dry. But,
and then I'll appreciate being dry.
And then I'll appreciate being dry. But yeah, I mean, there's so much that we take for granted. And there's so much that beauty around us that if we just took the time, and I think it was said in The Color Purple, I think God gets ticked off when you walk by a field of purple flowers and you don't take time to appreciate it. So, yeah. He might, but I appreciate. I want lots of years to appreciate. But I'm going to take each moment And appreciate that and be thankful.
So you have a poem, perhaps, to demonstrate your appreciation?
I do. This one actually demonstrates the appreciation I have for the feminine aspect of life. And this one is called Her Beauty. We reek femininity. Everything about us says woman. From salon-styled hair to carefully manicured toes. Our skillfully crafted curves lead to secluded places, sacred spaces constructed during creation. When he took his womb, fashioned a feminine facsimile, her nurturing Nubian wrapped with warmth, carved by his rib, sculpted in spirit, borrowing from one to build another. Mitochondrial mother of mankind, we be brilliance built by benevolent hands. We reek femininity. Everything about us says endurance. From our early eviction in Eden to simultaneous shape-shifting, stretching our being into whatever the need. Clawing at air because we crave sky. Tired of being sentenced to shadows, we were birthed to share some shine. Our soft and sweet, sometimes sour solid, but we press on, push past, fight through. We be life soil, fertile daughters of dust, watering our waiting to be blooms, remembering before knowing, wearing history round our waist. Ah, we reek femininity. Everything about us says warrior, from our rhythm-scribbled wiggle to dreams dancing behind our eyes. We have climbed mountains for those who can't, wandered wilderness for those who won't, flavored life with faith for those who falter, stood at the altar in a storm, and still we stand. We are unwavering wisdom washed in ancient melody, etched in flesh. Yes, let the world marvel, for ours is infinite beauty.
Mm. So, wow. I'm sitting here, letting it wash over me.
Right.
And I'm thinking, okay, so that's human condition. Mm. And yet I get to be reminded that the feminine experience is different from the masculine experience.
Right.
And I'm never going to have a window on that
Right.
unless you show it to me.
Right. Exactly.
And I don't have words for it. So you put words on it to share with me,
Right.
and I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. And see, that's what we want. We want the work to communicate exactly what should be communicated. Like you said, you can't know what I go through as a woman, but if I sit down and I explain it to you, you still may not get a full understanding, but at least you have an idea.
I have an idea, and I have to be open
Right.
to what you're telling me.
Exactly. And that's another thing.
And it's easier for me to be open to that in a poetic sense when there's no conflict and I don't have any other walls to get over.
Right.
I can just let it wash over me.
Right, right. You can be receptive to it. Yeah, and that's what I think a lot of the work is about, that every writer who writes wants somebody to read or listen, or you want people to feel your work. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't, and that's okay. If you get it, that's a beautiful thing, because the message was given to me to give and you received it. That's it. It's a wrap.
Yeah.
It really is.
And every person who listens to it may get it in a different way.
In a different way.
And that's just a testament to the information that is in there and that was crafted in when you selected the feeling, the idea, the words.
Absolutely. And what made me write that particular poem was seeing all the different women in different walks of life on public transportation. Like from the lowest part of life to the highest part of life. They're all there and everything in between. So I'll, just sit and watching them one day and then put myself in the mix as well, because I'm there too.
Right.
But I have to look at me in a different way, because I'm inside looking out, Now, somebody sitting on the other side maybe could have wrote this same poem, but a different way. But with me, looking at me, I see myself there, but I can't see me sitting there because I am sitting there.
Because you're not having an out-of-body
I'm not,
experience at
no,
particular time.
yeah, not at that particular time. But yeah, so it was all these women that I see, during the course of a day. Some of them are well manicured, some of them are not. Some of them hairstyles, some of them are not. But they're moving towards whatever they need to move towards in this life as a woman. And that was basically it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Intense. And you mentioned that these were some of your observations from riding public transportation.
Yes.
And I think that
Yes.
the public transportation in Los Angeles County the last few years has been eye-opening
Yeah.
for many, many people now that we have the metro and the
Yes.
subway, because people from all walks of life are riding the subway and the metro at some point during the day.
Yes,
And that's a different experience from being in a car
it is.
or being on a bus even.
It is.
Because people will take the train who wouldn't ordinarily take a bus.
Right. Yeah. And yeah, you see all kinds of people, and like I said, from the lowest to the highest. And some situations are very scary, and some situations are, well, I don't really want to say scary because I don't walk in fear. I'm not afraid of anybody or anything, but I'm not stupid either. So
It's a fine line,
safety
right?
is priority, but I don't want to walk around feeling or thinking or acting like a victim or like I'm waiting for something negative to happen. So I watch. I watch everything. I watch everybody. And sometimes I see things that maybe I shouldn't have seen. But it's a different experience than being in a car because you're right there. And if you're in a car, you don't get to experience life in that way. So I'm
Truly.
thankful for it because the book that I'm going to write from these experiences is called The Banana Paper Chronicles, because the journal I scribble these sites in is made from banana paper.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it's my journal on banana paper and it's just my train travel.
And is there a schedule completion date or availability date on that?
Well, it's actually almost finished. Because school is a priority right now, it'll probably be more towards the summer
Okay.
when I release that and it'll be my second.
Which means
Yeah.
it'll be a book of poetry that people can take to the beach.
Yeah, they can take it to the beach.
Or when they're dining al fresco at the cafe.
Wherever. They can take it on the train so they can read about it instead of having to watch it. Because sometimes I wish I had something. Well, I do. I do my homework on the train, so it helps a lot. But in between doing the homework on the train, like you hear these sounds.
Peeking up
and these
over the glasses, right?
Yes. Because I have to make sure nothing's coming at me.
Right.
I have to still be aware of my surroundings, get my homework done, be aware of my surroundings, record what I'm seeing. All this has to go on while I'm riding the train. And 2.5 hour travel time is like perfect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And another poem from that observational point of view or something different?
This one is me. It's about me. And it's called Educated Me. So.
The school issue.
The school, yeah. I am loving learning, listening to lectures, collecting knowledge bound in books, bulking up my brilliance. Doing most homework by train because total travel time takes 5 hours daily to the hub city from the valley and back. Why? Because my education got to be bold and black. I ain't hardly playing. Passing 5 peculiarly pedagogical institutions with their colorless curriculum, not particularly convivial to African American we. I know because I checked. Gotta go where I get the show enough for real, right and exact, where professors with PhDs look like me, where facts are not falsified but actualized. So what was taken can be regained, what was stolen can be reclaimed. Beloved, we were birthed before time could talk. My living is starving for stories the past is dying to tell. Yes, I am loving learning, continuing my journey to give the ancients a reason to smile again.
Nice.
Thanks.
There's an image in there, or a thought more, of colorless pedagogical
Yeah.
institutions.
Yeah.
And it reminds us that learning can be political from the standpoint of what is left out.
Yes. Yeah, I call it segregated education, because when you take a history class, the history class is US history, and US history is taught without representation of other cultures. And so the other cultures are broken out into African, Chicano, or whatever, Asian American, whatever, but it's all broken out. And so as I'm becoming more educated and taking these classes, I'm starting to notice the segregation in the curriculum, the actual education of the people that are trying to become educated. Even like sociology, psychology, there's a separate for African Americans. There's a separate sociology. There's a separate psychology. There's a separate everything. There's ethnic studies, There's not enough combining and giving the actual history of the United States as it pertains to everybody who was involved. So, and I'm not upset with that, because my major is African history, African American history. So I like that it's separated, but I don't like the why that it's separated.
I think I was having this conversation with someone the other day, and it occurred to me that there's an opportunity for lots of people to be angry a lot if they actually looked at the history of the United States.
Yeah.
Because, of course, people who came from Africa were enslaved.
Right.
But how about the Chinese Exclusion Act?
Woo!
Chinese were brought here to work on the railroads, and yet they couldn't become citizens.
Couldn't become citizens.
Until the early 20th century. And then we know what happened to the Japanese during Americans during World War II.
Yeah.
So there's a way to hold it that could just make you really angry.
Right.
And there's another way to hold it to say, well, this is what is.
Right.
That was then, this is now. We're going to make sure that we get our place at the table.
Exactly.
And part of getting our place at the table is knowing what happened before, so that we can say it was not appropriate then, it certainly isn't appropriate now,
Right.
and we're going to talk about what we want.
Exactly. And the fact that I'm able to go to school and be able to say in June I'm going to graduate with an AA, sacrifices were made for that.
They were.
And for me not to pay homage and give honor to that, then I'm incorrect. I don't want them to have a slap in the face from what was done to them in the past, and then here I come along and I'm slapping them as well. No, I'm grateful for everything they did, because they sacrificed and gave so much, even if it meant their lives.
Yes.
And so I appreciate that, because slavery wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. And we're here now, and we're not going anywhere.
No, we're not.
we're part of the American fabric,
Yes,
part
we
of the quilt,
Yes.
and we're going to be here and make our voices heard.
Yes, we are.
And that's particularly evident in your writing, and I have to
you.
appreciate you for that and
Thank
acknowledge you for it.
Thank
So
you.
keep up the good work.
I will.
Be cool, stay in school.
I sure will.
And we'll look forward to seeing you here again in a little bit.
Yes.
All right?
Okay.
Thank you very much for coming and
You're
sharing your
welcome.
poetry with us.
Thank you.
This has been Indie Encounter, a journey into the world of the independent creators of art and artistic expression. I want to thank today's guest, Sandra Laraine Coleman, for sharing her poetic vision and talents with us. If you want to find out more about today's guest, check out her Facebook page, facebook.com/Sandra Laraine Coleman. Check out the website here at pasadenamedia.org and select the Arroyo channel. You can also catch the live feed of the Arroyo channel on YouTube. Pretty impressive.
Yeah.
To find out more about me, check out the website oneformark.com. That's ONE4MARK.com. Thanks to our director, Lilia Fernandez Gaspar, and our crew for making the show possible. Thanks to all of you. We hope to see you here again when we embark on another Indie Encounter. So,
That was pretty cool.
how about that?
Yeah.